Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Ring and Rant. We have gotten through the first game after the international break. We have gone away to Ipswich and we have gotten a 0-0 draw. So we've gotten the point, which is fantastic. And I've got some interesting stats for you this morning, but it is good to see everybody. Today is your show. Today is Ring and Rant. So I will put up the link straight away. If anybody wants to come in, feel free to hit the link. I see Habs is already in here. I see Kelly's in here. Hi, Kelly, Mertlin. Koduff, good to see you. Red Valley. I've got all these new names. It's making it so hard for me. But anyway, the link is in there. We had only, and I will get this right so that I don't misquote it. We only had 1, 2, 3, 4 teams that were above us before the weekend score more points than us on the weekend. So we're in 13th. Now, Watford did jump us with their win. So there's 5 teams, I guess, if you look at it post the games, that have now scored more points than us ahead of us on the weekend. But, hey, Patrick, how you going? Yeah, but getting that little gain, especially away at Ipswich, is such an amazing effort. And I'm super impressed with the team and what they got done with the players. I think it was really, really interesting. Sean, hello. I wish these were earlier. Got to be up for work in 6 hours. Well, Sean, you can have a whinge all you like, but I get up at midnight to watch games over here in Australia, every game. So that's just the way it goes. Got to fit into our schedule. Yeah. John, you're around. John, feel free to jump in if you want. The link is there in the chat. My favorite team. Well, my favorite team didn't win, John, but your team did. Congratulations. Maybe they just want to get those wins so they got a bit more money in the coffers to pay for that new stadium. But anyway, that's all well and good. But yeah, what a great weekend for Wrexham to get that job done. I thought it was a really good effort, massive effort by the team to do what they did. It wasn't easy to go away to Ipswich, who I actually think is a team that can win this league. But I tell you what, gonna have to really hit the afterburners because Coventry are getting it done. It is unbelievable, their start to the season. I tip my hat to them. Abs, they need more chimneys. I quite like that design. I think it's different, and I think it's a fantastic tip of the cap to the area. I think it's going to be an amazing, amazing stadium when it gets done. And talking about stadiums, the pilings are getting plowed through there. I reckon there's only about 15 or so to go at Wrexham. So maybe by the end of the week, the pilings might all be finished. But yeah, 4 goals for the Chimneys boys. So 1 goal equals 25% of a chimney stack. They're all different heights though, John. So yeah. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, Nick. Yeah, I agree. And I think it's a really good design. But yeah, interesting. Another interesting stat. In our last 10 league games, we have scored a total of 17 points. We've only had 1 loss in our last 10 league games. So it was really, really interesting. Scum Army, feel free, Mark, to jump on in. The link's higher up. I'll throw it in again. I'd love to have a chat to you to talk about your team. I think your team are absolutely on the rise as well. Just going to say Southampton are growing in stature. And I agree with you, Scum Army. Birmingham are growing in momentum, and Wrexham are defying the odds every week. The championship is interesting every week. Yeah, couldn't not agree more with that statement. It is fascinating. Yeah, I do not know how to get back to your original moniker, Red Valley, because it's Andrew, because it's just what YouTube's done. But yeah, it is really interesting in terms of the table, and I might actually grab the table and bring it up for everybody. Let's have a look here. That one or that. Yeah, let's go here. Here we go. So what we have here is obviously Coventry in an amazing position, sitting on 37 points, 7 points clear of Middlesbrough and 10 points clear of Stoke, 3rd position. So, they've got 9 points up their sleeve for those top two promotion positions. Ipswich and Blackburn do have a make-up game to make up. And if Ipswich do get a win over Blackburn, that would put them on 27 points. So that would put them tied in third. So you've got to remember they still have a game to make up. Now, in saying that, it's great to have that make-up game. The downside to that is it's right in the middle of this mad rush all the way to the new year. So commentary fans have really become unbearable, says Sean. Well, they have a right to be unbearable. Good luck to them. I don't know what I could, they've had a great start to the season. But what I can say is obviously with them, they're Middlesbrough where they are. Then Stoke on 27. But it's interesting because, the top 6, 25 points. Millwall have just quietly been going about their business, climbing the ladder. Ipswich, like I said, game in hand. So if they do get a win, that pumps them all the way up, which means, it is quite tough. Birmingham, fantastic in 9th spot on 24. And then Leicester on 24. But, I'm assuming a 12-point deduction, which gets them down to 12 points, which puts them right now, if you put them on 12, would actually put them 2 points outside the relegation. But, yeah, really, really interesting. I think is that right? I'm just going to refresh this table because I thought Sheffield Wednesday had a week on the weekend. Is that? That's better. Sorry. There we go. Yeah. So Ipswich, still would get to 27 points. But when you look at the fact that, 12-point deduction for Leicester on 24 would actually put them in the relegation zone right now. Only 1 point behind Sheffield United, and the team that I think is going to get relegated with Norwich and Sheffield Wednesday is Oxford, in my opinion. Swansea have taken a bit of a dive. Portsmouth are down there as well. So I think from 19th down, I think Sheffield United will find their way out of that. I just think they've got too much quality. Blackburn teetering, but I think they'll be okay. You can't have everyone down there. We're starting to, though, really push our way out of that zone. And I see I've got Habs has just jumped in. Hey, Habs, how you going?
Yeah, what's going on?
Mate, just getting through the what I thought was a great result for us on the weekend. What did you think?
It wasn't the worst. I thought it was okay for what we got and what the situation was at the time. So it's the best of a bad bunch that we can get. A draw is fine.
Yeah, you're not as happy as I am. I'm pretty stoked. I think going away and getting a point at Ipswich is a big result, especially considering our lineup and the injuries that we had.
Oh, that's what I mean. I'm just I don't like to just go. I'm just I don't put as much energy towards it. So, okay. But it had to be done. It was a thing that we just needed to do.
Yep.
With the circumstances we had at the time.
Yep. Well, look, Scum Army, they're saying Leicester might get a 6-point deduction and a possible transfer embargo. The hearing is this week, so we're going to know very soon what happens to Leicester. That's going to be interesting.
That's going to affect the table quite a lot. That's a lot of points to lose.
Well, not as much as I thought. I thought they were going to lose 12 points.
Still, but 6 points is a lot. Still.
Yeah, but I mean, look, 6 actually. To be honest, 6 points, I think they can still make the playoffs with only a 6-point deduction.
That's true.
They're good. Like with a 12-point deduction, I didn't think they'd be able to make the playoffs, but I thought they'd, obviously no fear of relegation in my mind. They're way, way too good.
They do have that ability to do so. I mean, in terms of quality and the play style that they have, they can quite easily get into the playoffs with what they've got on offer. I mean, when you see teams like Millwall and Hull, I mean, these are teams, or even Watford, these are teams that are going to be perpetually going to be in the playoffs and never make it through. It would be funny to see Millwall go up. That would be quite funny.
I went to a game at Millwall when I was in London last time, which was back just pre-COVID.
Yeah, I mean, the reputation of Millwall isn't the same as it once was. If you go back, at least, if you go back 20 years ago, you still might see somewhat of that reputation.
It was pretty rough that day, I must admit. Although for 50 quid, I got a front row ticket on the halfway.
What was the match?
Well, it was a championship game. I can't remember back that far. God, my old dementia's kicking in. But that was 20. When was that? 20. Long time ago now. Jeez, I can't remember. Whenever COVID was, just before COVID. So, yeah. But it was a good game. Great game to watch. Millwall went down early 1-0 and then come back and won 2-1. It was a good game.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and it was just before New Year's Eve, I think it was. It was sort of between that Christmas New Year. Scum Army saying transfer embargo would be bad, and also they could get pulled for last year's books in December. So that's another charge that could come to light. Yeah, I had a feeling that there was going to be 2 charges and it could get to 12 points, but time will tell.
If it gets to the point of 12 points, that is a lot of points to lose.
Well, at 12 points, I don't think they can make the playoffs, Habs.
Yeah, I mean that's a big thing to fight back from as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Especially when you're trying to get, especially how tight it gets around the business end as well.
Yep. Well, we've scored. It was interesting when I went back and did the stats, Habs. We've scored 17 points out of our last 10 league games, so that's a pretty good ratio of points per game. 1.7 points per game.
It's okay as of now because we're still just as of right now our points percentage is going up slowly, but we do need to get more wins to be able to get more of those points to get our PPG up. So,
well, on that point, we're at home to Bristol and then at home to Blackburn in our next 2 games, and then we get a week off. So it'll be interesting to see what Parky does with the lineup and obviously who's going to be available. But, I mean, we're playing Bristol, who's in great form, obviously sitting all the way up the top of the table there in 4th spot. And then obviously Blackburn, who can, on their day, can beat anybody.
That's the thing. I mean, we also have that ability to beat anyone as well. We could beat Bristol. We got Bristol at home, actually, don't we? So
we got both of them at home.
Oh well, yeah.
That's why I think, like, you imagine if you had 2 wins, and I'm obviously getting ahead of myself there, we will be right on the tail of the playoffs. I think
just on the cusp of it. Yeah. I mean, it also depends on how everything else goes as well during the week.
Well, of course, but I mean, look, the when you look at the average, if teams average 4 points and you get 6 points, you've gained another 2 points on, and not all teams will get 4 points. So we'll be right there.
That's true. I mean, the setup. How are we gonna? I mean, we can beat Bristol. We can beat Bristol on. That was it on Wednesday or Tuesday? It's a Tuesday match, isn't it?
No, it's a Wednesday match.
Wednesday match. Okay. Yeah, we could beat them, but it just depends on what Parky puts out on that day. That becomes the.
What was your thoughts on the players' performances? Did anyone stand out for you on the weekend against Ipswich?
I mean, Dobson stood out. The back line stood out as what it was, but it wasn't anything like. It wasn't specific because we were just so defensive. We were. It just wasn't anything that we can have anything in terms of standing out in terms of our play style. So,
I've got an interesting take on this because I did think we were going to play very defensively, but the player I thought who played to his absolute potential and had a great game was Macca. He did everything that he possibly could for his. He saved a goal.
He did.
I'm not saying he stood out as in terms of against other players. What I'm saying is he played to his potential and did his role and got the job done. Who is now just a fill-in player.
The thing about with McLean is that he's best suited for something like that. I mean, if we're going to play ultra defensive for that, it was going to be for the best for McLean to do that kind of thing. Because the thing you have to worry about is just how pacey the players were going to be. The good thing that we managed to do was we were shutting down Chuba Akpom, and
What a threat he was.
but he can't even seem to shoot a barn door at this point. He was just shooting just for the sake of shooting. But he was one of them. And then there was who's the winger? I can't remember his name. Who's always that threat on the wing? Who always scores? Can't remember his name.
I will bring it up for you. I'll remember it when I see it, but I've just because you got to remember, for me, it's in the middle of the night, and by the time I go to sleep, yeah, let me see. Not Philogene.
It's Philogene.
Or Eggerly. He was excellent. Eggerly. He was a massive threat.
Yeah, but it was Chuba Akpom and Philogene. They constantly trying to get through us. They were, but Max and Longman were able to shut down Philogene most of the time. They were,
yeah,
and the centre part of our centre backs were able to keep Akpom down because they were the main threat. They were, so they shut them down.
I'll tell you who else. Thomason did a great job helping out Macca with Eggerly as well. So, and we got here he is, the guy from the guy from the Chimney Stacks. How are you, Johnny?
I'm very good, mate. You?
Oh, mate, I'm super impressed with our job on the weekend.
I'm gonna say I thought I'd better come on because you were getting all too excited about a 0-0 draw.
Mate, you got to. I mean, look, for the team we put out to get a draw away at Ipswich, I think that's a great result.
Yeah, to be fair, I think it's a cracking result. I haven't seen any of the highlights. I have seen the stats, which would suggest that you were hanging on for dear life, and they probably should have won with the chances they created. But hey, if you don't put the ball in the back of the net, it doesn't matter.
You should see the eye test, John. It wasn't as much of a threat as you think. Arthur was basically just stopping every ball. So, and most of the goal scoring attempts, they were kind of weak. They were so.
AO made a couple of good saves though.
I'm going to say
a lot of saves. A lot of good saves.
According to a lot of the stats, your goalkeeper got man of the match, or was one of the highest stat, which usually suggests that he's had a really good game. And yeah.
Yep. And actually, and I didn't. Even though you keep poking them as my favourite team, I have not seen the Birmingham game. What was it like?
Comfortable, to be honest. Should have been more. I mean, we should have been 3-0 up after about 5 minutes. We look a really good side, I have to say. The front line is looking extremely good. The introduction of the German lad Dutch, where we all kind of thought he might be the missing link at the start of the season, but when we brought him in the summer, he was already injured, so it took a while to get him fit. But yeah, he's a bit good.
A bit good. I like that. A bit
yeah,
good.
he's you know, when it's one of these, you see a lot of players in the Championship, and they're good players, but when you come across somebody which you can tell was played at a higher level, it's just his in-game intelligence is better, his first touch, he's just intelligence, football intelligence. He's one of those players where you can just tell he's about 5 seconds ahead of everyone else before the ball's got to him. He's very, very good. Scored 2 tap-ins, but you know, positional wise, right place, right time. But his link up to the build-up play is really good, and he brings the best out of Stansfield. Stansfield played really well as well. So yeah,
he's going to make Stansfield a better player, is what you're saying?
Yeah, well, what is it? 12 goals in 3 home games now. So yeah,
crazy. I was about to say you guys are on a bit of a run.
Yeah, we just need to improve the away form. Really, the away form is pretty poor. So if that can turn around,
you mentioned that. Look at that. Good old your mate Sean.
Yeah, it's one of those where you would say, you know, we've drawn a few, lost a few, which we probably shouldn't have. Well, we didn't deserve to draw or lose them. We've actually played all right in some games, but just not had the rub of the green. But yeah, it's. I mean, we got a tough one Wednesday. We got West Brom away, which being a derby as such, it will be an interesting game. But if we can play anything like we do at home in recent games, then yeah, I mean, we're only 3 points off third. Anything's possible.
Yeah, you're climbing. What do you think, Habs? You think Birmingham will make the playoffs?
Yeah, it is. They are the type of team that have got that. I mean, they've got a built team for it anyway. So they were ready to go and do the fight for this year.
I did think you're good enough. Well, I mean, I had tongue in cheek you guys winning the league, but I did think you were definitely good enough to make the playoffs. And did you hear how I've flipped camps? I'm on Ipswich now.
Yeah. To be fair, the thing is this: I try not to get carried away with this league because this league has this tendency to kick you in the nuts when you think you've broken it, if you know what I mean. There's a lot of teams lower down the league which I still think are going to have a big say. I mean, I still expect Ipswich to be, or I still expect Ipswich to go up automatically, personally. But you only got to look at what Southampton did at Charlton on the weekend. They're a side which, you know,
They're coming.
They're coming, you know, and as much as we all sort of say about Leicester, points deduction, blah, blah, Leicester have got some quality players. And if it starts to click, they'll be top 6 as well. And you start adding this all up and then you start thinking, okay, well, if
Who
we
else
want to
can
get
make it?
yeah, you're going to say if they're all going to get top 6, who's not? And then it's like, who are you going to finish above to get top 6? So, yeah, there's a lot of good sides around. Maybe in the next, I mean, the next 10, 11 games before Christmas or before January, whatever it is, we'll sort it all out.
Yeah. Well, just quickly, I'll go back. Kelly Davidson likes your new stadium too, John. She thinks I think it looks fire. I think it looks great. I think it's going to be a fantastic stadium. And Scum Army's in here. He's our Southampton supporter. I really do think they're going to climb the table. I mean, they just got so much quality across the pitch, don't they? I mean, they're on 21 points, which is only 4 points outside the playoffs right now. There's a lot of football to be played. A lot of football.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. The likes of Ipswich and Southampton have got squads capable of just winning 8 out of 9 games, haven't they? And you know, if you do that at any point during this season, you're going to put yourself in a position where you're going to be there or thereabouts. So, yeah, still early days. But I'm on our stadium, by the way. I don't mind it, but I don't love it either. I'm not completely sold on the sort of design and everything. The one thing I would say is it's different and it stands out, and it's one of those that when it's built, everyone will know it's our stadium because it is so out there in the design. So it's growing on me, but like when I first saw it, I wasn't like, wow, that's like looks amazing. I kind of went, that's a bit different.
Yeah, the thing is that at least it's something different. Yeah, and it does look good. That's the thing. It plays onto heritage of what Birmingham is or was as the industrial place. Well, it was the workshop of the British Empire. It was so. It was. It looks something that wouldn't be out of place at Birmingham if you've been to Birmingham.
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, we're talking about teams climbing the ladder, and Ipswich and Millwall have been doing that just nice and quietly, just creeping up, which is good. But Matt, I'll give Matt Al the table here. Serious question. Why couldn't Southampton do it under Will Still? It just can't be him. I'll give my 2 cents, then I'll throw it to you boys. In my opinion, it's not just Will Still. It's also the players you're playing, the teams you're playing against at that point in time. And I think this league is so even right now. And so it's small differences. Small differences can make, like John said, they could go on an 8-game winning streak. So, yeah, but your thoughts on this, boys?
It's always marginal. It's always the margins. You always have to get those little margins of wins, and then changes everything.
Yep.
So, but then again, when you think about it, I mean, it was Charlton as well that they did go up against. So, as much as people would, we have to see where this will go from this point onwards. Maybe it's just who is the new manager anyway?
They haven't got one.
They haven't got one at the moment. They've won their last 3 matches though, Habs. Like, it's not just Charlton. Like, they've put away Chef. I mean, Chef Wednesday. You have to say, yeah, that's not that's not a foregone conclusion, but it should be a win. I mean, we didn't beat them. I mean, and they beat QPR away, which is a good win.
Yeah, That's true. That's true. But we have different circumstances, different contexts, and they're a team that just come down from the Prem. We're a team that just came up from League One. They're a completely different context. So it could be anything. So it depends on what happens with the next 3 games that they got.
Well, we're pretty much exactly a third of the way. We're only a third of the way through the season. With 16 games, 15 for Ipswich and Blackburn. Got to remember, Ipswich has got a game in hand. They win that game against Blackburn, they're right on the cusp of auto promotion.
Yeah, that is a big thing.
So fun. I mean, and look, and now the grind begins. That was the first of what is 10 games for us, for everybody, and 11 games for Ipswich and Blackburn all the way through to New Year's. It's going to be teams are going to get injuries. Players are going to be out. How does the squad back up? This is the one place where I think, John, you're going to win games going forward that we're not going to because of your squad depth.
Yeah, I think even the Norwich manager made a point of that in his post-match presser this weekend, where he was quizzed. Obviously, it was his first game in charge in Norwich, and he was quizzed about some of the substitutions he made, and he basically kind of skirted around the answer to it, really, because I think the journalists were a little bit perplexed why he took off arguably one of their better players on the day, and he also took Sargent off with like 20 minutes or 50 minutes to go. But he then made a point of saying, we've got a small squad, we've got injuries already. And then he says, you look at the Birmingham bench with the size of the squad and the depth and the players they can bring on. He said, we've got to try and get to that level of strength. It is a strength. I mean, we do have a few injuries here and there. I mean, Pake's out injured, and we don't have a timescale of when he's going to be back. So that sounds like it's probably more likely months rather than weeks. But luckily for us, we do have that squad where I'm not going to say we don't look any. I'm not going to say we look weaker or stronger. We miss a few players, which does have an impact, but you just have to adapt the team slightly. We're playing a Water at right back, for example. So credit to Davis. He's tweaked the system and tweaked the personnel to go with it.
Yeah, now I really want Mark on here though, John, because he's in there. Southampton's got Brum in 4 or 5 games. I think that's going to be. I think by the time that comes around, that's going to be an absolute barnstormer.
I don't know where it is. Whether it's, I think it's at their place. I think.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find it for you.
It's a fair few. I'm going to say it's
a little way
some
away.
way. It's a fair distance away. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I mean, and again, well, look at those games on the weekend that I thought were going to be really important games. Now, I thought that obviously the Sheffield United game at the bottom of the table was really important for both teams. For Sheffield Wednesday to have any hope of thinking they might be able to avoid relegation, they had to get points out of that game, and they didn't. Sheffield United gave them a spanking. And for me, that just cemented my original thoughts that Sheffield Wednesday are going down and Sheffield United are going to get out of the relegation zone. So that was the first one. The next one was Leicester at home to Stoke, and they did get the 2-1 win, so that was a big game for Leicester, in my opinion, because, if Stoke had got a draw or even somehow snaffled a win in that game, that would not have been good. And then, I mean, the rest of the round, there were good games, but nothing that I went, oh, yeah, this is really important for the table.
I thought the Portsmouth game was fairly important.
Okay.
Because I mean, obviously Portsmouth have been on a bad run and, not particularly picking up results. And, Millwall, I know what you said earlier about Millwall ticking along. I think the last few games, they've slipped up a little bit, actually. And that's a bad result for Millwall. I know anyone, you're going to it's one of those. Portsmouth away is a tough place to go. But if you're a team that are ultimately, which Millwall are saying they are chasing the top 6, you've got to go to Portsmouth and not lose, essentially. And to get done 3-1 is a fairly bad one.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because our away game against Portsmouth was exactly the same as Ipswich. It was donuts on the score sheet and get the point and get out of there.
Yeah, I'm from what Hab said earlier. I'm not sure whether they were slightly the same because Portsmouth were by far the better side on that game. You were damn lucky to get
They
away with
were.
it.
They were better. They were far more aggressive. They were pressing harder. They were direct and they were pressing much more harder towards us. We were just. It was just a bad habit of just passing the ball sideways and backwards, just pointless passing.
Actually, don't talk to me about passing sideways and backwards. Dobbo nearly gave away 2 goals with 2 of the worst passes I've ever seen.
Yeah, there was some hospital passes. There was.
He basically passed it straight to the opposition, John. It was like, and they've just gone, oh, thank you. I'm going to head towards goal now.
Was it one of these no-look passes where you just sort of thought he was like
No,
zapping for a
that's
minute?
just it. It wasn't a no-look
right.
pass.
Oh, right, okay.
It was just a bad pass. He's had a few of those as well, where he does a pass, but it just goes nowhere. It just goes in the middle of somewhere in the pitch, and you can tell from that as well. And also, they've got a smaller pitch as well. I've just noticed.
Yeah, but, on
It,
one
it
game,
does it does have an effect on the match as well. Makes the game a lot tighter.
yeah, but not on those passes. They were terrible. But besides that, he had a pretty good game. I was just happy our team executed what they were trying to achieve, which was clearly to just defend, shut the game down, and make it hard for them to score.
I mean, yeah, and Arthur was basically just stopping every ball coming through. He was putting in a shift, but he's been doing that for a while now. He's just been putting shifts in, and he's just been stopping anything that comes through. He's like a brick wall.
Yeah. But it was interesting before the game, John. I was looking at it, and Ipswich's market value is between 3 and 4 times Wrexham's market value. It was just insane. Now, dollars don't score goals, but it is a bit of an indicator.
Yeah, it is. And I think the one thing I think we're all waiting for Ipswich is to kind of catch light, aren't we? We're all waiting for them to suddenly start clicking. I mean, they've done it in a few games. I mean, I watched them a few games back, and they absolutely took somebody to the cleaners. And when I watched them, I thought it was like watching Ipswich 2 seasons ago when they got promoted. It was just a carbon copy. They just played exactly like they did 2 seasons ago. And I thought, yeah, if they've kind of found that mojo again, I was like, yeah, God help the rest of the league. But true to form, they've just seemed to have doing that, aren't they? So one good game, but yeah, there's only so long you can. The thing for them, which is what will be the concern for them, is there's only so long you can get away with doing that. If this sort of up and downy form in different form continues for another, say, 6-7 games, well, ultimately there'll be other teams which will find form and have consistent form. That all of a sudden they'll be looking at the top 2, thinking, actually, we're 15 points plus away from that now, and that's a big gap to close. So yeah, I mean, we all expect them to do it, but they need to start doing it soon.
That's a fair comment. That's a very fair comment.
You're just waiting for them to shift gears, basically.
Yeah, when and you look at those teams that are above them, I mean, obviously Coventry, Middlesbrough, Stoke, Bristol, they're 4 teams you've got to do some work to catch, and and not only that, I'm going to put you guys in there, John. You're tied with them on points at the moment. If they have a bit of a hiccup and you guys go on a bit of a run, all of a sudden you're 6 points clear of them, and 30 games into the season, you're going, there's only 16 games left.
I'll be honest, it's going to sound a bit sort of, I won't say arrogant, but there's a few teams above us which I don't pay too much attention to, having watched them. Millwall, Preston, I think are nowhere near good enough to stay where they are. Middlesbrough, I put in the same bracket. Middlesbrough, if you actually break down Middlesbrough's form, their form at the start of the season has got them where they are. I think if you take their form in like the last 8 or 9 games or whatever it is, they're basically 14th or 13th on form. So they are kind of hanging on to where they are because of the start of the season. Now they could they could turn that round and start winning again. But I mean, they've got Coventry on Tuesday night, so good luck with that. So, yeah, Stoke are the ones every time I see Stoke, I can't make up my mind. Sometimes I look at them and I think they look really good side, and other times I just think I'm not convinced by them.
Well,
This weekend was a prime example.
It's interesting you say that about the midweek games coming up. There's some absolute crackers. Middlesbrough at home to Coventry, obviously top of the table. That's standout.
That's going to be a good one.
Yep, you have Hull at home to Ipswich, so no easy win for Ipswich there. Southampton at home to Leicester, another good game. We're at home to Bristol. That's a good game. And you guys are away to West Brom. There's 1, 2, 5 games there that, I'd happily watch all 5 of those games.
Yeah, I think if you were asking me to put my money where all the goals are going to be, I'd say the Hull Ipswich game, because Hull can't defend for toffee. They do score goals, but they can't defend for toffee. So that could be like 5-4 or something stupid.
Now that you've said that, John, I'm going to go in and see what you actually tipped for that game. Hull Ipswich. Well, clearly you weren't thinking that when you tipped it. It said 2-1 win to Ipswich. You need to update your tipping and whack some goals in there.
No, I don't, because I'm tipping sort of strategically, aren't I? There, so
okay. That's funny, but no, I think it just and Scum Army saying the league runs away from you so easily, and it absolutely does here. This league, come Christmas, there's going to be some teams that are starting to get very nervous, and some teams that are going to start to get a little bit of hope.
Yeah, I'm going to say that there'll be a few teams down the bottom as well, which will suddenly find a bit of form and that. People like Norwich, they're the ones that are probably hoping new manager comes in, they can win a couple of games all of a sudden, change their season around. So it'll be interesting. There'll be some, and of course we've got a few 3-game weeks, haven't we? Where there'll be some teams which will do 9-point weeks, and there'll be other clubs that will do 0 points. Or 1 or something. Yeah. So it's like anything, is it? With 3-game weeks, you can, and especially how tight this division is, you can go from 16th to 6th or 6th to 18th in the space of a week. So,
Habs, I've got a question for you. Had another presenter on this channel say to me, he thinks Sargent's gone from Norwich. I don't think they'll let him go. They can't afford to let him go.
They're not letting him go. He's their talisman when it comes to scoring the goal. So they're not going to get rid of him. And even if someone made an offer, it'd have to be a lot of money. It would have to be a lot of money for that. No club in the Championship is going to be able to afford that. Well, they can, but you just basically screaming in the wind.
Yeah, to me, that's admitting defeat. That's admitting relegation, John. If they did that, what do you think?
Oh, absolutely. I think I said to Josh the other week that because he mentioned about Sargent, and I just said it makes no sense if you're Norwich, because you've got to survive, and he's the guy that can score goals. If they get rid of him, what on earth? What message does it send? Have we just given up? And Habs is right. I mean, they wanted 20 million for him in the summer, and it's they're not going to want to sell him now because of the predicament they're in. So you would argue that they're probably going to ask for more money. So he impressed me on the weekend, I have to say, albeit he didn't score. And obviously they were in, they look a poor side, low on confidence. He was a quality operator, you could tell. He caused our defense problems. His movement on the ball, his strength, his interchange, and you could tell he was a threat. He was one of those where you just thought, if he gets half a sniff, we're in trouble. So good player.
I mean, they're going to charge people Premier League prices for the player, so no one's going to pay for that for him.
No, and if you're Sargent, if we take our sort of biased local, Wrexham and Birmingham hats off, if you're Josh Sargent, why would you move to another Championship club? You've already proved you're a good enough goal scorer in the Championship. What's the point?
Are you worth more money at the end of the season in that transfer window?
I don't think the thing is, for him as a player, I don't see the point of moving anywhere in the Championship, because then you're kind of fixed for the next couple of years. If he stays where he is, and fair enough, if somebody comes in for him January, offers silly money, then maybe. But in his world, he probably thinks, if he didn't get the move in the summer, they're probably not going to let him go in January. In all honesty, by the end of this season, he'll probably go then. And you could argue, if he doesn't have a 20-goal season, which, hey, it doesn't look like he's going to have a 20-goal season this season, maybe he leaves for a little bit less than it was last summer. You don't know. But I don't see, from a career point of view, I don't see the point of him going to another Championship club. He's got to move to either to the Premier League or to a top European league. He's already proven he's a good enough goal scorer at this level. He has nothing left to prove at this level.
Yep. Scum Army saying, well, this guy, never heard of her. He's not Prem quality though, but I mean, Scum Army, such a long contract still left. I wonder whether there's any clause in there if they get relegated and they're not in the Championship. That would be my only question there.
He'll leave if Norwich gets relegated. Though, he will just leave. There's no way he's going to stay on there with them. Yeah. I mean,
because my question was based on the fact that they get relegated at the end of the season. So at the end of the season, let's say he scored, let's call it 15 goals, John. That might be a fair number. 15 goals, team's relegated, and you've got 2 years left on your contract. Now, is there a get-out clause if there's a relegation? Normally, contracts are written like that, that if you're not in that league, there'll be something in there, but who knows? So my question is then, is he worth 10 million then, 15 million then, not 20 million that they wanted?
I mean, his value would go down.
Yeah, it will go down, but it won't be, it's not going to be loads, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
I think there'll be a clause for his wages. There won't be like a relegation release clause, because let's face it, Norwich have not kind of looked at a relegation from the Championship for many. They've been a yo-yo side chasing promotion, so
they're staring it in the face now.
They are, yeah. So there'll be I would imagine there'll be like a wage drop. Wage percentage if relegated, because that's pretty standard in most contracts, I believe, in most clubs these days. But I don't imagine there'll be like if you're relegated to League One, there's a £10 million release clause. There ain't going to be anything like that. And let's face it, if he goes down to League One and he's available for between 10 and 15 million, there's going to be a queue round the corner of clubs in for him.
I'd imagine it'll get down to about 10 to 12. Because once you get down to that, the entire value just drops as well in terms of your quality of players. So, but there could be a team in Europe that could want him. I would imagine like a Marseille would take him.
But to John's point, at 10 million, the queue's around the corner.
Yeah, I could imagine there'll be if whatever team comes down from the Prem, which I'm guessing Wolves will be one of them. I could imagine them hoovering him up. They would.
I mean, it's other things like Coventry. Say Coventry go up, and he's available for 10 million quid. That's the sort of club I could see they'd go after him. I know what Josh. Yeah. I can say I know what Josh said earlier. He's not Prem quality. And it's like, no, he isn't. But
he'll score a goal here and there.
He'll score a goal here and there, and then some clubs, some clubs that go up to the Premier League can't necessarily afford Prem quality forwards. You do have to take a gamble on a Josh Sargent that suddenly might come good and might turn out to be Prem quality.
Well, have you started your shopping list yet, John, for the Prem next year?
No. Haven't even started shopping list for January, mate.
That's funny. Well, I'll tell you what, at least you got someone that's got deep enough pockets to go shopping.
Well, yes. This is true. I'm going to say the cat's out the bag with how much money we've got when they announce the stadium and doing all that, isn't it? You're not going to go into any player negotiations now and saying, money's a bit tight. Try the other one, mate. Yeah.
Thing is, though, it's a good time to be able to get that stadium built now. I mean, especially since you're in the Championship, you could still be in the Championship next season. Who knows? But
guaranteed for the Prem Habs. Guaranteed. Lock it in.
nothing's ever guaranteed. But that'll be a good time because it's a great way to deal with PSR and everything else as well. Plus, you got wealthy backers to be able to get that built in.
Yeah, I mean the stadium. I mean, what they're talking. What is it? Season of 2030, 31 is when
it's a way away.
It's a way away. And I think even Tom Wagner, our owner, has sort of said even if we're still in the championship by that point, the sheer revenue that and the sports quarter and everything it's going to generate, it's scary, to be honest.
I mean, you could use it for UEFA standard competitions as well. So you could host finals for like conference leagues or Europa leagues or even a Champions League final. So
and a Taylor Swift concert.
Yes,
John will get VIP tickets to that.
Yeah, and NFL games and everything. Yeah, it's I think as Sean has said, the estimations are that the sports quarter will generate 750 million a year. Wow. So it's when everyone sort of talks about our ambitions, it's our owners are not thinking let's just get to the Premier League and survive. When you're talking that sort of money, you're talking top four, and you're talking let's compete with big boys now.
Yeah. Now, Mad Al, I'll curb you a bit there, Mad Al. I know our cop, like we'll have by Christmas, I think you'll see Slab Down. It's traveling along quite nicely, actually. So, and then January, February, you'll start to see stuff going into the air, which is going to be great to see. So, nowhere near the stadium that Birmingham was talking about, but it's a step in the right direction.
I mean, the thing with Birmingham, they're basically doing the Tottenham model for building everything up, and then use the Tottenham model to be able to generate the kind of wealth. But the difference is, at least with Tom Wagner, he's not as stingy as Levy. So,
I will say though, I'm very impressed, John, with the way Rob and Ryan have staged their spending. They haven't overspent and put the club into a massive debt position. Like they've been profitable the whole way through. So that's been a plus, and then obviously trying to stay at the race course and building stadiums there. I see they're saying which surprised me. This was an interesting one. They said the Wrexham Lager stand would be next. I honestly thought it would be the tech end at the other end of the ground, and they would pretty much replicate what they're doing at the COP. But it doesn't seem to be the case.
Yeah, I think I think your owners deserve a lot of credit for what they do. But then, I've long said people like to try and compare our owners, don't they? Because obviously from last season and everything. And it's unfair because, there is no secret. Our owners came in and bought us, not because they have a love of Birmingham or not because, Birmingham was a club which, they had seen from afar and thought, oh, yeah, down on their luck. It was the opportunity of the sports quarter and the land. They're
big city, big fan base.
Yeah, I think Tom Wagner said it. He's long said it, and he's made no secret of it. That he said, they searched all of Europe for an opportunity like this in a football club and he said there wasn't an opportunity where you could buy 140 acres of land inside of a city centre almost and have the opportunities to build a complex of this size. It just wasn't there, and they're not in it because they want to see us win leagues and win cups and have all this. That's a bonus, and obviously they will say what they want in front of the camera to get the fans on side as such. But they're in it to make money, and people sort of say, why are they spending £3 billion on a sports quarter? Well, it's going to make £750 million a year. So you do the math. That's why they're doing it.
It's a 4-year ROI. That's unbelievable.
But also, it does give them the opportunity to be able to build extra stuff as well. So they'll be able to make the money from it at the same time, buy new players. I mean, you've got what's it called? You can get proper training facilities and everything else with it as well. Get that built and actually have a good chance of being able to compete in the Prem. And along with winning, if you do get the chance to win or get into Europe at the same time, it does generate. It's like a feedback loop. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy that you just get better and better, and you just get more money and get more revenue at the same time, and you get more sponsorship.
Yeah, interesting. So I'm flicking that back onto Wrexham then. Matt L said I didn't hear this, Matt L, that Mike Williamson said the tech end was next. I'd heard the Wrexham lager stand, but if you're right, I think that makes more sense, because then you end up with a better a better capacity when you do have to do the sides, which is a big hit on your stadium capacity. But it's not only that, and you're talking about a whole quarter across the railway line at Wrexham, the brewery and that area there for pre and post football is going to turn into like the hub for all the fans to go to pre and post game, which I think is going to be, and that's owned by the Allen family and Robin Ryan, and I think that's going to be an amazing facility when it starts too, sort of sometime next year.
Someone cutting a tree.
Yeah, that's next door. I'm gonna have to close the window here. You guys go. I'll keep going.
All right. Well, in our sense, I mean, we've got the tech end, but also we have to kind of build something around. I mean, the only issue is if we want to expand further and have like a larger stadium, whilst we have an increase in fan base, we have to take into consideration of things like the turf, because the turf in of itself is like a historical value towards Wrexham as the pub, which basically, well, it was there before Wrexham Football Club, and something has to be done to be built around that and accommodate for it as well. Because when you think of Wrexham, you think of the turf at the same time, and something has to be done to be built around that. So that's one thing as well. You can expand the Wrexham lager and everything else. Those things will probably be a bit easier, but it is the tech end you have to think about, where how much further do you want to expand, and how much is it going to interfere with something like the turf? Like, are you going to build around it? Or how are you going to build the state? How are you going to build in the seats to be able to allow that in? Or are you going to accommodate somehow with the turf? Because you don't want to get rid of that. That's part of the heritage of Wrexham. You're on mute.
Can't get rid of it. It's heritage listed, but
We've got a
stadium here in Brisbane, which is the example of how to build over that. So that can absolutely be done. But that's the tech end's the other goal end. Now I think they'll need some university land to do that, to get it to the size they want to. But yeah, so that'll be interesting.
I mean, I was talking to somebody the other day, because obviously about our stadium and stuff, and we were talking about stadium and football, and it's like the problem is clubs get carried away and fixated on stadiums, and it's like at time. I mean, yes, revenue from ticket prices and all that, but it's not. Unfortunately, it's not the be all and end all, especially the higher up the leagues you go. So, having huge stadiums doesn't necessarily equal success in that regard. So sometimes it is, better the devil and sometimes it is better to improve what you've got rather than build new. So you just hope it, like you said, if the renovation, you just hope that everything is thought out and done with the history of the club in mind.
Well, to that point, John, like Portman Road on the weekend for Ipswich, 30,000 seat stadium. There's a team that's bouncing in and out of the Prem. Great club.
The thing with a lot of clubs, they're all going to be following the Tottenham model. That is the model that every club is going to go and copy. Like your club there at Birmingham, they're basically it is basically not a one-to-one, but it's just basically a copy and paste kind of thing. That is what they're doing in terms of just generating revenue. It's not going to be the same, but they're going to be hosting the NFL. They want to host NFL matches. They want to host concerts. They'll probably just want to start hosting boxing matches and things like that, which they already do at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So, and that's a way they're going to be able to generate revenue and pay for it off as well in terms of debt-wise.
Yeah, I mean, with the stadium, yes, but obviously the difference with us is we've got this sports quarter, which is going to house, it's going to house an 18,000 seater arena, an academy, and a women's stadium, office, hotels, God knows what.
It's a whole complex.
It's a whole complex. The stadium is exactly the same, like you say about Spurs, and it's going to be very similar in that regard, but the advantage that we will have is the whole sports quarter will fall under the club essentially, which is the way they're doing it, so that all the revenue that will generate essentially goes on the club's books. So
yeah, I think a 30 to 40,000 seat maximum stadium is pretty much ideal for Wrexham. Doesn't need to be any bigger than that.
For what we have, then yeah, that will be for what we will need specifically. Because the city of Wrexham itself has about that many people.
120,000, I think it is, Wrexham town, the greater Wrexham area.
The Great Wrexham area. I mean, like the main centre of Wrexham is around 50,000 people.
Yep. So yeah, I think that's interesting. Yeah. 138 in 2025. There you go.
That would be the Great Wrexham area. But I mean, the thing is that with Wrexham, one of the things I think Rob and Ryan were trying to market to was try and get the entire North Wales area.
Yeah.
To support, and that's 814,000 people. So that's a lot of people. They want to try and get that to get people supporting Wrexham.
Well, the city population is 65,000. So you get, what do you reckon the maximum away allocation tickets they give away to these big stadiums is? John, you got any numbers on that?
I would imagine you're looking at between 3 and 4. The thing is, even though the big stadiums, if you've got a large, say 50, 60,000 seater stadium, you've got a large fan base. So you're still only giving a small proportion of away tickets away because you've got a large home fan base. So
you get the thirst for tickets.
Yeah. And unfortunately, and we don't want to say it, but it's true, you've got a lot of corporate, a lot of hospitality and all that. So, even though it's a 50,000 seater, say, or 60,000, a huge chunk of that is not your everyday fan, unfortunately.
The tourists. But you got to have the tourists though.
Habs, I cannot wait to take John to a Wrexham home game in 2027. He's coming. I'm taking the whole crew. You're coming, John.
To be fair, I by that point, I probably won't mind having a look at what League One looks like back then. So
you can. Well, and you'll have to slum it coming away from the Premier League.
You're gonna need more. You're gonna need to build more chimneys. You're gonna need to build more chimneys, mate. If that's gonna happen.
So yeah,
the funniest thing is just touch on the chimneys thing is hilarious because of course all of social media has been about chimneys, and like every other fan base has been throwing it at us like it's like an insult. So of course, as soon as like we scored in the 3rd minute against Norwich, all you heard from the home fans is 1-0 to the Chimney Boys, which it's just like you can't take the mick out of us because we will do it for us. So we'll just
take
use
the
it.
mick out of yourself. Yeah,
we'll just use it. So good luck.
That's great. I love that. I love when fans do that and they take the piss out of themselves. I think that's fantastic.
It's going to be hard to just. You're going to call yourselves that from that point onwards. Once you've got the stadium, instead of being called Blue Nose, it's just going to be called the Chimney Boys.
We'll call ourselves anything. To be fair, so.
But look, the odds are pretty solid that both these teams will still be in the championship next year. If either of them's going to go up, it's going to be Birmingham, in my opinion, as much as I hate to say it. But yeah, you're more likely to go up than we are. We're not going to get relegated. It's not going to happen. Obviously, Birmingham's not going to get relegated. So who can go up? If you had to pick, if you had $10 left in your wallet, which club would you put it on? You have to put it on Birmingham.
As the choice is just Wrexham or Birmingham. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If you had to pick one of those clubs to say who's going to go up, I want it to be Wrexham, don't get me wrong, but you've just got a better quality side at the moment. Now, that could change in January.
No, I wouldn't go that far. Ken. But we still have a lot.
Go that far. We're Wrexham fans. This is our chance to beat it now.
Take the bait, Habs. Take the bait. He wants you to, bring it, basically.
I know. But the thing is, though, we have so much deadwood. We do.
What do you
We have
mean?
so
Mac had a great game.
Yeah.
it's using McLean's one good game. It's not. We need more depth. We do. We are gonna these coming months are gonna be a test for the depth that we have right now, and it's not going to be quite ready yet. So we're going to have to see what we do in January, and especially in the summer, because I don't think we're going up, and we're going to need to recruit hard and carefully as well in the kind of players that we need to make sure that we have good quality depth to be able to say, okay, we can do some damage now.
Yeah. I'll go serious now for you, Habs. In January, I think we need to buy 2, possibly 3 good quality players going forward, ready for next season. And then in the off season, we need to go and get another 3 or 4, probably 4 really good quality players. And by then, those 3 players will be integrated. We're only having to integrate 4 players, not 9, 8, 9, 10 players into a squad. And the start of next season will be a lot better than the start of this season.
I agree. I would say at least 3 players for January, at least, because we need cover for the wings. That's one thing we do. We need cover for the wings. We need cover for the midfield as well. I mean, we got midfield cover pretty much, but we do need some more quality as well. We could say we want new strikers, but we're hardly using the strikers we're using right now, and we've barely been able to use them properly.
Hardly using all the strikers. Kiefer Moore's doing a great job.
Only Kiefer Moore. But only Kiefer Moore's being used because he's pretty much been the only one. I knew this was going to happen, that he's just going to get injured. And then we're going to have to use Sam Smith or Hardy. And we're not providing them the service as we are right now because we've got a bunch of injuries because we're overusing the players because we just don't have that depth to be able to cover them. I mean, the thing is, if we wanted to go into attacking, if we're going to build something for more of an attacking thing against Bristol, my thing is just instead of putting McLean on that left wing, I'll put, and I did say this earlier, I'd put Longman on the right, on the right wing back, and then I'd have Doyle as left wing back. And we can have our double pivot of Sheaf and James. You can have O'Brien and Windass, and instead of, if you can't have, what's his name? Moore in as the number 9, we can put Smith or Hardy there, provide them the service that we need to give them. Keep
John,
that line as it is.
Got any thoughts on that, John?
What, for January, you mean, or?
Well, I mean, I think I mean, I love Mark Williams. Mark Williams is in here, by the way. Birmingham are only 2 points ahead of us. But yeah, I think, what do you think? Do you think like 2 or 3 good quality players in January just to solidify the squad, get another 5% increase in the quality of our play?
I think in an ideal world, yeah, you probably would want to. I think the only thing I would say is, and I think Habs has mentioned this before, that January is especially at championship level, is a horrible window to do business in. Because realistically,
nobody wants to give up anyone.
No one wants to give up anyone. And at this level, the quality that you chase are harder to come by. It's not like League One where the pool is bigger and essentially it's easier to get to. Because ultimately, like you said, if you want to bring in 3 quality operators, irrespective of their position, they're going to be good players, and good players are hard to, wedge out of a side or a club in January.
And cost effectively as well.
Yeah, because I mean, realistically, and this is where I think I've mentioned it to Paddy a few times, where I've sort of said I actually don't think you'll spend an awful lot in January because I think unless you're on the sort of the fringes of the playoffs, and then it makes sense to push the boat out maybe and spend a bit of money and maybe overpay on a player or 2 just to add to that to the squad. But I think if you're, I don't know, sat where you are now, but playoffs is a few, I won't say a few points, but it's a bit of a distance off when you get to January. It doesn't make any financial sense to chase something which isn't really there and say, okay, let's go and spend millions on players and overspend and essentially not, get you in the playoffs, shall we say, and then come the summer, you think, well, we could have bought these same players again, but for 20% less. And that 20% less means you ultimately, at the end of the summer window, you could have bought another player on top of that. So I think you got sensible people running your club. So I don't think you'll go silly in January, unless, like I said, you're in contention, where then people do roll the dice, because when you've got a shot at the big time, you go for it, don't you? But yeah, I think, like you said, in an ideal world, I think you'd probably want more than 3 players. But I think with you guys, very much like us, I think a lot of it will depend on the outgoings. I know, like you said about the strikers, I'd imagine if you're going to bring, say, a striker in, well, there's going to some that need to go, and the same with midfielders, and the same with defense. You've got a fairly stacked squad as it is. Ultimately, yes, like you said, you've got dead wood, but that dead wood's got to go.
Yep. Well, interesting. So Sean said here, I think you need to try to adapt to the players instead of just shoving them into the same system and buying more and more players. I've actually said this for a month now, that we need to have a second style of attack. Now, the players that were on the pitch against Ipswich were in the striking positions, was for that style, with Smith together with Windass, and it could have been Smith with Broadhead. You can flip Windass Broadhead easily, doesn't matter, same style player. But the problem on the weekend was the players behind them. Like we're missing wing backs, we're missing that and that. But you put a full strength side on with a Smith style player with a Windass or Broadhead up front, with all the strong wing backs and good midfielders behind them, then you've got a different style of attack that you can play to a Kiefer Moore style attack. But not that I'm against the Kiefer Moore style attack. It's working fantastic. But we can't be a one-trick pony.
That's true. I mean, if we're going to do... I can understand that we do need to adapt some of the players, but some of the players that we have are not fit for the Championship. Like, some of the players that we have just need to be either sold or go on loan. They're just not fit for this league anymore. They've reached their ceiling a long time ago. They have. So,
well, I think to John's point about the owners not going crazy, I guess we're just going to have to be patient with that transition. That might take 2 seasons.
I think that. But if we're going to be getting any kind of players, let's say we're going to come into the January transfer window, it's going to be tough to try and get anything domestically. In terms of players, we may have to go into Europe, but even then, Europe's going to be quite tough because they're coming into their end of their, like, let's say, second division.
Come to Australia, baby. Come and grab them.
You want quality, not quantity, Ken.
I actually set you up for that, John, on purpose. I thought you were going to come at me with that.
I mean, my suggestion would be to go look into South America or look into Japan to look for the kind of quality that you need.
On that, how's Fujimoto going, John?
Hasn't kicked a ball.
Noticed that as well. Why hasn't he played?
He's not good enough.
Is he not?
Well,
we'll take him on loan.
He's by all accounts, he's a good player, but he's essentially he's a natural 10, but also can play wide right. And the truth of the matter is, he's got 2-3 people which are better ahead of him. It's just fact of the game.
Fair.
I mean, I actually think I would not be surprised if he's shipped out in January, because he has literally got no minutes.
Can I count him as a transfer for the off season if we get him in January? Because I wanted him in the last off season. If we got him in January, okay, I'm going to count that.
I don't think we would loan him to you though, because that wouldn't make any sense, would it?
Why are you guys so mean to us? We're just a little club in north of Wales, John.
Well, you got that right, but no, we wouldn't loan him to someone else in the Championship.
You guys are mean.
No, I mean, I could see him being loaned back out to Europe. I think when we signed him, I had this horrible feeling at the back of my head, which was we had a player on that we bought last season called Yokohama, who was a very young player, winger, who was brought in with a lot of potential, but we saw him like a couple of times and basically he wasn't quite good enough, and that was it. He was done. Sadly for me, I get the feeling Fujimoto. He played, I think, a half in the League Cup against Port Vale and got hooked at half time because he was just nowhere near the level or fit or anything. And we haven't seen him since. And I just have a horrible feeling that Davis has had one look at him and just gone, nope, you're not going to make it, lad. Not for this team, not for where we are.
We'll give you 100K for him.
What for his left boot?
You said he was no good. You said he was no good.
Yeah, I know, but we're not giving away cheap deals, are we? You've got money, so we'll charge you through the nose if you want to.
We got money. You guys are the one building a 500,000 seat stadium worth about 700 billion.
Yeah, so we need money, don't we? But no.
I was going to say, not good.
I was going to say, we wouldn't have signed Patrick Roberts if Fujimoto was in the thoughts of the manager, because to sign Roberts in the dying days of the transfer window, who's naturally a left-footed right winger. It just as soon as the deal was like that, and when Dutch was, he just kind of thought, put the Fujimoto thing was just, we got him on a free. It was a gamble that he might work out. It clearly, to me, it looks like it's a gamble which just hasn't worked.
Yeah, he was on a free. That's why I really wanted him. He was a free. He looked good enough quality. I think he'd be starting in our side. He'd be right there. He'd have to be.
What, ahead of Windass, really?
Oh, well, I reckon. Yeah.
Because you don't play wingers, so it's either number 10 or not.
I thought he was more on the left than the right, in my opinion. He's
a winger, though. We don't use wingers in our system.
Yeah, I thought he could have played O'Brien's position. O'Brien, not that I've been upset with O'Brien, but
we would have to use him as either as a number 10, really. So, as an attacking midfielder, really. So, but that's why I'm saying we should look South America may be the place where we can look to.
What about Scum Army's comment? What about Scum Army's comment there? Academy players from the Prem.
The thing is that they are a factory that produces players all the time. They just have a bunch of players that they just don't want and they just want to get rid of anyway. So, because they've got no place in any of the starting, not even on the bench or even as in the reserves. So some of the players may not be of any kind of quality, and they may need to spend some time lower down to get some kind of proper development. Depends on what they see.
Yep, Matt Al, I'd push O'Brien further back and play Broadhead instead of O'Brien up more in that attacking role. I'd play more as a central mid. I'd play O'Brien and to get Broadhead on the pitch right now. But anyway, that's me. Yeah, what do I know?
I would use him.
John's
checking.
Yeah, you can't. It's one thing I've heard. I think you said it. I think Aaron said it. Say I'll play Broadhead in the O'Brien role. You just can't. O'Brien, because he drops and he goes forward. When you've got the ball and when you're attacking, I totally understand the theory. You'd want Broadhead in that position. The problem is, defensive. O'Brien he drops back into midfield. You ask Broadhead to drop back into midfield, you might as well just put a chicken running around there. He wouldn't have a clue what to do.
And he's a natural left winger. He is.
Yeah.
And I'm going to defer to you on that one, John, because when he came on the weekend, you could see that when the ball went back to Ipswich and they started attacking, Broadhead was just sort of drifting around. He didn't really go to a role very specifically. It was like, no, I'm attacking. Yeah. So, and I'm not putting that comment up, Matt Al. You're not getting that one up on the screen.
He's a very naughty boy, he is.
Yeah. So anyway,
you're missing him for Wednesday, aren't you, O'Brien? He's suspended, isn't he?
Yeah, we can't use him. He's got 5 yellow cards. So we can only hope Ollie Rathbone's legs isn't broken at this point.
Parky's pushing for Rathbone to be back.
He is.
Just saying Harry Ashfield was on the bench.
Yeah, but I think I think he just put him on there just in case of anything, really. So
Here's one for you, Ken. I'd rather have Ashfield than I would Rathbone at this level.
Me too. Look, I am dead serious about that. That's not a joke. The upside of Ashfield. It's like I said this last year. If he'd been playing last season, he would be a championship level player this season. Well, or we would know if he was going to be or not. You look at Max's progression, who's got all the playing time. Ashfield hasn't got the playing time.
I do say that with a slight tongue-in-cheek, but there is a bit of a serious hint to it because we have, you guys have no idea about Ashfield of how good would he be. The thing is with him, it's the unknown. I think I've watched Rathbone play at this level before. Not good enough. Runs around, stamina, will get his foot. His in-game intelligence. The game's too quick at this level for him. That's what his problem was when he was at Rotherham. Is that he chased shadows a lot of the time because players were just too quick and passed it round him. And yes, I think he has developed as a player since he's gone to you guys. I think he's, on the ball he's improved, but that in-game football intelligence that don't change.
Nope. And I've watched Ashfield play enough games now. He's got the ball. He will turn a defender and go and attack him with the ball. He's not afraid to take on a defender, and he's got the skills to do it. Now, as you go up in the leagues, it obviously gets harder and harder to do, but he did it, and he did it in games against good players.
He's young and fearless, isn't he?
Yeah, he's 19 years old. Ashfield is still 19 years old. He will go and do it, like he will use his courage and fearlessness to do that. He's a bit like Kabore in a sense, but he's got the young and dumb side of him. So he can kind of just he will be a lion to just go in and just try and get a goal.
Look, I think so. I absolutely think so. He's going to, and like you said, we don't know how good he can be. And the only way we're going to find that out is minutes on the pitch. Now, I purposely think he didn't play him on the weekend against Ipswich. He made the bench. I think if he's going to give Ashfield minutes, it's going to be at home. And I actually think it mightn't be this game coming up. I think it might be against Blackburn.
If we set up a more attacking side, he's much more suited to a more attacking play style he is. So with what we've got, if we played the way we did against Ipswich and we try to use Ashfield, then we're just wasting his time basically. But if we set up a team that was more, let's say, like we have with Coventry, he would be perfect for that. Much more attacking.
Well, time's going to tell. I'm looking forward to seeing him get time on the pitch. That's all I'm going to say. I hope it comes because, Paddy even said the other day, he'd want to spend 10 million on a 19-year-old. Well, we've got a 19-year-old there. We don't have to spend 1 cent. We can find out whether he's going to get the job done or not.
I think the problem you're always going to face is your manager doesn't strike me as the sort of manager that's going to do.
No, he's not. He's not.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
I think he'll. I think Ashfield will play if you hit an injury crisis or something or suspensions. Then I think he'd get his chance. I think, sadly, if there's more experienced pros always available.
Interesting comment there, John. Injury crisis. What do we have at the moment? Suspensions. Brian's out the next game.
Yeah, but it's not crisis, is it? You've still got players available. Like you said, if Rathbone's fit, he'll play.
Yeah. Yep. No, fair call. As terrible as it is, where does Ashfield slot in? Anywhere. Like from keeper to striker, Matt White. You pick it. No.
He could play in that O'Brien role. He could.
Yeah.
But where he sits a bit, where he's much more box to box. But the thing is that O'Brien's really good because of his press. And we haven't seen Ashfield press the same way. He's a bit different.
So if you're trying to get through a 10-game run from now till New Year's, and you've really got to get players, keep players on the pitch, like if you average out 45 minutes of O'Brien and 45 minutes of Ashfield, now it's 60-30, 30-60, 60-30, 30-60, those guys will last a lot longer.
Yeah, but I don't think you would rotate those key positions. It's like every manager, isn't it? They have I won't say the spine, but they have those guys which are the
they're core players.
the core players, which, you know, if they're fit, they've got a pulse and they've got two legs that sort of half move, they play. And
You just described Aaron's video.
Yeah. Legs that barely move and hit the ball over the bar. Yeah. I think with O'Brien, I think he will play every game if fit, and I think Sheaf, if he's fit and available, will play every game. I think the one that might rotate is possibly Dobson in there. You know,
well, O'Brien didn't start the last match. He only came on off the bench.
Yeah, I'm just, you know.
So yeah, I'm not saying, you know, but I get your point. O'Brien is definitely like one of those guys that's like a starter, like Sheaf.
Who was your midfield on the weekend? What three did you play?
Dobbo, Sheaf, and Thomason.
Yeah, so he basically dropped O'Brien and played Thomason, who just basically likes to kick people.
And he did that, I think, because he had Macca on the wing, and Thomason helped out Macca massively defensively.
Yeah, he did. He was doing a lot of work. So it's basically Sheaf, Thomason, and McLean. Because McLean is, because McLean is not very fast.
Oh, Thomason did a great job helping him out. Like, you know, positionally just taking that pressure off, meaning that the players couldn't use their speed against Macca.
Is McLean going to have to play on Wednesday then? Is it?
It's likely. It's not certain, but yes, likely.
If that's the case, then is he likely to go with the same midfield because of the protection that will give McLean?
Again, possibly. I mean, the only other thing there is, I mean, you know, is Callum Doyle going to get back on the pitch? Is, you know, he could play Barney, you know, and Longman on as the two wing backs, and depending on, I think he specifically went very defensive against Ipswich, whereas a Barney Longman wing backs is nowhere near as defensive. That has like sprinklings of we're willing to attack.
I would prefer a Longman and Doyle wing back, as it would be much more. You have a natural right footer and a natural left footer being able to come up on those wings, as opposed to Barney, because Barney's very predictable and he can be very easy shut down, but he also has his precision is one thing that is very hard to replicate.
Yeah. He also kept Matty James on the bench as replacement for Sheaf, John, like, which is, you know, because Sheaf's not a 90-minute player.
No.
Yeah. So yeah, which is good. I've got no problem with that. I think that's totally fine by me.
No, because, you know, the truth of the matter is, if Sheaf was a 90-minute player, then Coventry wouldn't have got rid of him. Truth be told.
Yep, and didn't have some injury issues, then he'd still be at Coventry. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting how he sets up, because Bristol are one of the better counter-attacking sides in the division. So, and they do have pace out wide, and they have one of the players I really like watching is Scott Twine. He is quality at this level, so it'll be interesting to see what he does midfield. Well, I mean, you'd say at home, you'd like to think, I would personally say you would expect to see Lewis O'Brien play because you're at home, and you would expect the onus to be on you to go and win the game. But I wonder now what you've said about the wing backs, and if McLean's got to play and stuff, then maybe O'Brien might be sacrificed again, possibly.
Well, we both play on Wednesday this week. Well, I say Wednesday because it's Wednesday for you guys. It's actually Thursday for me, but it's the Wednesday games and the Tuesday. And so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games on Tuesday and 5 games on Wednesday. Yeah.
And with O'Brien, I mean, the thing that makes him so good is because he's allowed to operate in open space in the opposition box so easily, because they just give him so much space. They do, and he just runs around. And the way he works with Kakache is one thing that makes it dangerous. That makes our left side much more dangerous in terms of attack. So that is the way those two operate together is what makes it dangerous on our left side of attack as opposed to the right side, because we've got Windass and Kabore covering the right. So that just we kind of pincer everything.
Yep. Well, boys, I think we're nearly an hour and a half now. I've probably got to get back to work and get back into what I do for a living. But so we might start to wind it up. You got Champ Chat tomorrow, John?
I believe so, yes.
Yep. You and Paddy and Aaron can talk a lot more knowledge than what you and I can, Habs.
Aaron and talk about hunting more likely.
I've seen the pictures. Yeah, the boys doing well. But anyway, well, look. So, guys, don't forget, if you haven't hit the like button, hit the like. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Tomorrow, get Champ Chat. You'll get some more feedback from the boys. Interesting. I think a great result from us on the weekend. I was very happy to get the point. We now have 2 home games in a row against Bristol and Blackburn. Let's hope we can at least get 4 points out of those 2 games. That would be fantastic. Again, I think that would be a great result given our current situation. Your thoughts? How do you think we'll go against Bristol and Blackburn, boys? Habs?
Well, I think we'll win.
Double win. I love the optimism.
Yeah. I think we can take them. We can take them. As long as we get it right, we can take them and get a win out of those 2.
Yep. John, how do you think we'll go? How do you think we'd go again in those 2 games? Bristol in form too.
I think you get a point against Bristol, if I'm honest. And I think you might get a point against Blackburn as well. Because Blackburn's away record, believe it or not, is really good.
Why do we even invite this guy on this channel? Seriously, all he does is talk. We can't get a win out
Hey,
of
look,
him.
I didn't put you down as losing. I think, in all fairness, I think the Blackburn game for me is the more winnable one out of the 2.
Fair
But
call.
I think their away form is something just to be wary of.
No, fair call.
That's true. That's true.
Well, guys, on that bombshell, 2 wins from Habs, 2 draws from John, and I've got a win and a draw. So let's hope Habs are right and we're both wrong. And we will see you all again next time. Have a great day.